Okay, so we're here today. This is Sara L in our world. I love how tall she is. Her feet touch the ground. Mine do not. Kind of. They're kind of dangling. So yes, this is Sara L. Sara started with us in October. So she is our new Sara. So we go by new Sara, old Sara. Well, actually, they also spell their name differently. So she's with no H, and the other one has an H, thankfully. So that kind of works.
Yeah.
Works out well in our favor. Well. Okay, tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do, why you're here.
I'm Sara.
I love making people awkward.
That's okay. I do hair.
No shit.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, I do hair. Hair was supposed to be my backup plan.
Oh, okay.
And here we are.
I don't know if I knew that. What was your first plan?
I didn't have one.
Oh. Okay, perfect. Love that.
Not to get into it, but it was like, I don't want to get kicked out of my house. I need to do something. I didn't do well in school.
Okay.
I did well in school, but I didn't attend, so they kept kicking me out, and then I went about it a little bit different. So, I went to hair school, and it just kind of stuck. I was thinking about going to complexions. I like the idea of makeup and specifically special effects.
Yeah.
But then when I got into hair, it's really cool.
It's because it's so crafty. It's crafty. It's artsy.
Yeah, right? I didn't expect hair to be so artsy. Math and science were always my strong suits in school as well, but I also didn't expect hair to be so scientific, so science-based. So all of those things kind of combined, it really worked out well.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love with education and being around inspired people and trying to inspire people and just having those talks about your special interests. So here we are after years.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the industry now?
Since 2011.
When did you know it was no longer your second plan and this was it for you?
I don't know. I just kind of go with the flow. I don't know how to explain it. I know it's bad, but I just go with the flow. I like to challenge myself. If I'm good at something, I'm like, meh. But if I'm not good at something, I'm like, this is it.
So true.
This is the one.
So true.
So I find it challenging enough, and there's always things that I'm not good at, and the industry is always changing. And I love that trends are always I've always loved fashion and things like that as well. So
I know it's a great industry for that as a whole because it's so connected to everything.
Yeah. And in every era of society, there's been some way that you can differentiate it based on different hairstyles. And
did I ever tell you I left the industry for a hot minute and went to fashion school?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I was probably 6 years in, maybe 7. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fuck it. I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why? Why am I leaving? And then I was like, okay. So I chose not to leave, and I stayed in it part-time. Mm-hmm. And I went to school part-time at the Art Institute downtown. So cool. A really good school. And then I would work part-time. And then 3 months in was your deadline. Yeah. You're either you're committed.
Yeah.
Or you're out and you don't have to pay the rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing?
Well, at least you tried it.
Exactly. I just kept thinking that. I was like, it just is such another element to add into hair.
Yeah. It's so cool. My old boss still sends me little clips of fashion week and stuff like that. And I just find it so fascinating, people's process, the way they go about it. That's why I got into reading again too, because people are just so creative. I just find it fascinating how it's also all encompassing.
Yes.
It's so fascinating. People's process, how they come up with these ideas of doing the things they do. I just find it so cool.
Yeah. So would stage artists ever your calling? Would that be something you'd ever look into doing more, or no? You more
stage work in general?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Have you done anything of it like that?
Yeah, I've done a couple fashion weeks. I've gotten a couple publications. I felt like they were really tied to bridal. That's right. I would sure. Sounds good.
You're just whatever.
Yeah.
If you do something and you like it, then you stick to it, and if you don't, then you don't.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm drawn to you as well, because you're just kind of cool. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, you're it doesn't work. Yeah. There's no point in getting things caught up. Yeah. You never know where things are going to take you. What opportunity is going to be the one. Mm-hmm. I feel that could be something cool to look into, but I find I'm not super into avant-garde work.
Okay.
So I would need it to I like the idea of something street wearable, because I find we get lost with fashion. People see what's on the runway and they're I want to recreate that, but not all of it is street fashion.
Yeah. Which is very different.
Very different.
Yeah. Big time.
So maybe something in between.
Yeah. Yeah. I I love looking at avant-garde stuff and thinking of their process. How did they get there?
It's the process.
Yeah.
I love the process.
Yeah.
Like half of my personal Instagram is like different artists, like painting things and putting things together. I think it's so cool.
It is really cool. I do like that.
Or like mixed medium artists. I'm like, how did you think to do that? Like, well, they use multiple mediums.
Oh, I don't think I've ever like paid attention or seen any of.
Yeah, so like say they start with a canvas and then they'll like paint it, and then on top of that they like draw on it, and then on top of that they add this. So you actually do a lot of mixed medium stuff.
Okay.
Probably just didn't think of it that way.
Didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so super creative, and you are in education.
Yes.
And what's your goal with education?
I just want to be recognized by the people.
Okay.
With the brand, like I really like Davines. They're pretty cool.
They are pretty cool.
They align a lot with like the way I like live my life. I feel like I've changed. Like I live my life differently based on the things I've learned through Davines. Like all of the cool partnerships, the way that they educate, the different partnerships. If you dive deeper, like they touch base on so many different things. I find it to be like a really well-rounded company. Yeah. This weekend I just repotted a whole bunch of my stuff and used some old Davines containers to put my little seedlings in that have enough roots. So
I love that.
Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, so what does this look like for you? Like what?
Education?
Yeah. What's your?
I'm gonna start diving into like my own brand, I guess, my own content. I just feel like there's a lot of things that I just assume people knew things. Totally. And what I've learned over the years is people don't know things. People have a lot of confidence, and we love that.
I think we get so used to the little things that make our job seamless and easy that we forget that newer people who maybe don't have as much experience as us, they don't actually know that.
Or they're not looking for it, right? Like when I watch somebody work, I'm like, oh, that's that little like, the shift of the wrist or like the little thing there, or like why you formulate a certain way or how different things come together.
Yeah.
Like what influences what. So I love that. So I want to try to put together different.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like different ways of explaining things. So I'm kind of coming up with like a process for classes right now and like how I'm going to put them together. Because I find people often want placement, but with placement they want technical stuff.
Right.
So it's finding the two things and marrying them together.
Yeah. Will your classes be strictly based on Davines, or will other people who maybe don't use Davines be able to come to these classes?
I mean, I'd be open to whoever. Like, I'm not going to be specifically branded, but I do use Davines.
Totally.
It's the one thing that it's kind of like a non-negotiable for me, just because I've grown up with Davines for so long, and I've really worked hard to get to the status of where I am in education with the brand, but the stuff I want to teach isn't necessarily
Davines related.
Yeah.
You're just going to be using it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think of one of my friends, like they use Schwarzkopf.
Yeah.
So say like some of her team members wanted to come to a class that you were maybe holding, but they don't use Davines, but it doesn't need to be about Davines. It's about the end result.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially. And they would be able to just like convert back to what they have at their salon and make do. Yeah.
Because there's always tips and tricks. There's little things that you learn all the time.
Yeah.
And just being able to like sit and talk to somebody and like pick apart something I find helps as well, and having those bigger conversations. Would it be beneficial if it was a Davines person? Of course.
Because they'd understand it.
Because that's where my knowledge base comes from. But like it's easily enough translated if
have you used any other color line?
I started with L'Oreal.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, L'Oreal, a little bit of Matrix, didn't love it. I found like the ethics of it was hard for me. Yeah. Like I always felt like I'm like there's got to be something better. I remember before I started working at a green circle salon, I found green circles, and two of the salons I worked at before, this is my fourth salon in my career. The two salons I worked at before, I tried to bring it in. I tried to be like, hey, there's green circles, and the owners just weren't as receptive. So when I made the move,
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's such a simple concept.
I think it's what I find scares people is the additional charge. Yeah. Right. But I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. Like it's hard when you have a salon because you're running a business out of like you're running in like the more businessy areas, I guess, and they don't always have the access to recycling and the ability to do those things.
So for us here, for instance, like my old salon, which is crazy enough just down the street, but we had recycling pickup. Here, there's no recycling pickup.
Yeah.
So like even though we were green circle there too, it's now like it's a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
Because like otherwise it's all being thrown out. So we work alongside this beautiful brand who believes in sustainability and believes in like all of these things, and then we're just not supporting that. Like why would you even partner with a company like Davines if you
Well, aside from how amazing the products are and how great they deliver, but you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like the
But like,
morals of it.
I
Yeah.
feel like, I think I'm just such a, like, everything has to align to feel like authentic and right.
Mhm.
And people who choose not to do those things and just toss it all away, I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. Like
It's
there
such a
has to be a
simple,
moral
yeah,
conversation. Like there has to be like that place of like this is where my beliefs are, because then it's harder to move forward in a business and anything if
anything.
you don't know what your non-negotiables
Yeah,
are.
totally.
So
Okay, so as far as clients go, you've been doing hair how long ago? Did you say this already?
I didn't say how many numbers of years. I think it's what year is it? 2025? 14
2020,
years.
14 years.
14 years.
Okay, so 14 years. You said this is your fourth salon.
Yes.
How how was it for you building a clientele?
Um, I never really focused on it too much. Like in my first few salons, I was mostly assisting, and then a lot of the salons had some clients, so I would get like the
Yep.
overflow as it works in the
Yep.
industry. Um, More recently, I feel like I don't know, I just kind of like,
My stomach is literally growling,
yeah.
and I'm
I
like, can
wonder if
they
it's
hear
gonna
this
pick up.
on the fucking microphone?
It might.
That's funny.
I don't know. I feel like my clientele is built pretty organically.
What is your like ideal target market canvas of head hair client?
I want someone that takes my advice.
Okay.
I'm pretty adamant about educating my clients about how to properly take care of their hair. Every appointment starts with me taking a look at their scalp and their hair
Mm-hmm.
to make sure everything's okay. I always talk about products
Mm-hmm.
because I believe in them and I use them at home.
Totally.
So it has nothing to do with that. I don't think I'd work with a brand if I didn't believe in the
Oh yeah,
products.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So for me, I'm always trying to educate. My ideal client canvas of head of hair is somebody who's using the products that I recommend, taking the recommendations that I
Mm-hmm.
make, like and doing the things I say, because I
Right,
always
totally.
come from education first.
Yeah.
So like I try to build that trust by being like, this is how you do this is how you use this product. Even everybody the first time in my chair, I explain to them how to wash their hair properly.
Which is again something so simple that we think,
Yeah.
but it's like that reminder to a client, like, oh yeah, has anyone actually properly taught you how to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like with the teeth when you take your kids to the dentist and
Yeah.
they're like, so how do you brush your teeth? And I'm like, they fucking brush their teeth. And then they show them, and I'm like, oh yeah, you got to show them how to brush
Yeah.
their teeth.
I still brush my
It's
kids'
the
teeth.
same
Yeah.
thing, like with hair and properly shampooing your hair.
Yeah.
How did you learn about like scalp stuff? Like when did you start including like the scalp look into? Are you doing it so that they don't have lice?
Yeah. It starts with lice. I'll be honest.
Hilarious. So true. Because I
Lice.
secretly do that too,
Yeah.
but for me, it's only lice. Like I don't know enough about other
Yeah.
scalp conditions to like.
So it started with lice,
Okay.
and then it turned into looking for alopecia spots.
Mm-hmm.
I had a few clients over the years when I would look at their scalp, I started noticing like funny little like discolorations or anything. So I feel like it's
Oh,
my responsibility to tell somebody
totally.
if I see something that needs to be
Needs, yeah.
noted. And 95% of the time, if I'm like, hey, did you know? I'll have people be like, yeah, I have a doctor monitoring. I know about this spot. And I had
Right.
a gentleman once where I was like, oh, did you know? He's like, yeah, someone's looking here. And I was like, okay, well, I see another one
Right.
here. And I just feel like
Right.
we're the people who get to see
Yeah.
that. So we may as well like
Totally.
do that. And then I started noticing like that's when you can see if there's eczema or psoriasis or like taking different classes over the years. I've picked up bits and pieces.
Little pieces from each.
So it's just kind of compounded over time, and then being aware of the scalp and then knowing what is an unhealthy scalp. What's a scalp that has like the pH is off, like
Mm-hmm.
what products are going to be recommended, because we have a more medicinal line,
Right.
something that kind of targets scalp health at a more molecular level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make the wrong recommendations. And that's something I've also learned about Davines is if you're not using the right product, you're not going to love it.
Right.
So there's been a few clients over the years
So
that I've
true.
had to like rebuild their
Yeah.
trust, because I'm like, the product is great. It's just that wasn't what you
for
needed.
you.
Yeah. So I have a couple of blanket products that I recommend to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, it's like a very tailored line,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
No, I would totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so clients who take care of their hair essentially at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
And
is
listen to what I
like-
have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Are realistic, because some of my girls will move from like some fun fashion colors into something more traditional, but I'll explain the process. I'm like,
Right.
you can't go from like pink to blonde again. We have to like ease out of it because there's some like leftover, and everyone's been great about
that. Yeah. As far as like actual services go, do you have a specialty?
I don't like. Okay, I
Okay.
know you.
No, this is why I'm asking you
Yeah,
this.
I don't have a specialty.
Okay.
There's things that I prefer, but if I have somebody in my chair who I know somebody else would serve better, I will make that recommendation.
Okay. but you love
color.
color.
I love color. I love it a
lot. So that's why for Sarah L, she like will just say like master colorist.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody else has a specialty in the sense of like
and there's a lot of blonding in the salon.
Something more specific, let's say, than just a master colorist. But we felt like master colorist for her was a good fit because you also teach for the company and you know so much more
and the way
than like anybody else in the salon would know about it, right?
When I first started working with you, you kept asking me what my specialty was, and I was like, I don't know. And I remember I explained it. I was like, you know how there's like gymnasts that specialize in like one thing, like bars or beam or whatever, and then you have the all-arounds. I like align myself more with like an all-around. Like I try to be more well-rounded in that sense so I can answer the questions because I've worked with people that have really specific particular questions, and I've also been in classes where people choose a random hill to die on.
Yeah, it's so true.
So they'll like ask a question about something. Like even when I was teaching finest pigments, one of the girls was like, "Can I use it for low lights?" And I was like,
"No."
I was like, "You can,
but why?
Would I? No." And then I got the why, and I'm like, "Well, because we have other options." And it's like, okay, so I find sometimes people find a random hill to die on and want to fight me on it, or like not fight, but like
question it.
Which fair enough. Like we want to question things. I want you to question things. So I've just kind of like I have to be able. I feel like I need to be able to answer those questions, or at least guide them in the right direction, or gently be like, no.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Respectfully, no.
Yeah, respectfully, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely get that. What was the other thing I was going to say on that? She asked me before we started. She's like, "So, like, do you like script these? Like, do you know what you're going to ask?" And I'm like, "No, I just roll with it. Whatever comes to my head." But now I'm forgetting what I was going to say, and whatever, we'll come back to it if I think of it. Okay, so what brought you? Why did you come to Milton to work?
I didn't want to work in the city I lived in for a very long time.
Oh, okay. Why? Because you didn't want to run into people?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I hate that.
But then I had kids, and I kind of came to the conclusion that I'm not that big of a jerk, so it doesn't matter. Because I was like, I don't want to have to be on all the time. But the reality is we're people. So if someone has a bad day, just be like, I'm off today.
Yeah.
My kids was the reason. It was just getting hard. I wasn't working too far from home, but the traffic was getting out of hand. Like I was having to take the 407 every a lot of days, and it's fine when your kids are in daycare because you can drop them off whenever. But when my daughter started school, it got hard, and now I have 2 kids. And I'll be honest, October when I reached out to you, I was like having a panic attack about snowsuits. I'm like, if I throw snowsuits into my morning routine, I was like, I'm not going to be able to get anywhere.
Yeah, it makes such a difference though, because that's like 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And about a year ago, I had started like the idea planted. I said it out loud to a friend of mine, and I was like, oh no. But I was torn between going independent and working somewhere else. And I have a lot of colleagues that have worked with you and know about you, and I've been watching all the salons in Milton for a while. And
like Milton has a lot of Davina salons.
They do. They have 5 now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Like that's nuts.
That's really cool.
So you had options.
I had options.
And you picked us.
I did. Well, my driving force was, what if I need to cry? You know? Like, where do I go to cry? And I remember looking at your website, and you're like, we have a staff room. I'm like, sweet, we love that.
We love that.
We love a good cry corner.
Yeah. We also have a table to eat our lunch on.
Which is really nice. Nice win.
It was such a win. Never had that before.
Like, sometimes you have a bad day. We're only human. But I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been watching people's socials, and one of the things that drew me to you was part of your website was for the stylist. Like, what do I have to offer you as a stylist? And I thought that was really cool. And
I actually haven't launched that page on our new website. And I think Katie said the same thing. So I need to hit launch because I haven't done it. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, no. And I thought that was really cool because I don't know. I always think about looking at websites and Instagrams based on being a consumer. So that's how I'm like, what's missing on my page when I look at my socials. But I feel like you did that as well. Because as a stylist, you don't know what you're looking for. The salon websites are often just geared towards
the client. They always are. Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Totally does.
But if you're looking to make a change and you don't know what you're looking for, like how are you supposed to appeal? After about a year, I thought about it for a while. So it's a year now. And then I just kind of pulled the trigger one day, and I'm happy I did.
And when you came to your interview, did you drive here or did you walk here?
I walked.
And your first day to work, how did you get here?
Was it my skateboard?
Yeah. she rolls up in her helmet and her longboard, and I was like, see, this is like that right there is such a like to not have to get in your car to go to work. Yes, you can drive, of course you can drive.
Yeah.
But like that's like huge.
Yeah. Well, even my first week here, first month here, my husband went on vacation with his brother for 10 days. But my son was at my mother-in-law's house. My daughter was at a birthday party. And after work, I was able to go to the grocery store, drop off groceries, grab my son, and go to the birthday party within half an hour.
Yeah. Right.
And that was amazing.
That would have just been your commute back.
That would have been my commute back. So like, as I said, it wasn't a far commute, but minutes matter when you have kids, right? Like it's hard and they're so needy and they don't understand.
Totally.
I've had a couple instances where I've had to pop over to the school and I've been able to do it without issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So nice.
So nice.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else we want the people to know? Why should someone choose you to book with?
I know lots of jokes.
Okay.
I know things about hair. I don't know. Whatever they want. I don't know. I feel like the right people end up in my chair. Like we always have really good conversations and someone who's chill, like I said, willing to listen to the advice I have to say. Like I've noticed there's a bit of a culture recently that kind of bashes hairstylists, being like, "Oh, they're just in it for the money. They're in it for that." And it's like, if that's what you think's gonna happen, then, like that's not me. Yeah.
No.
I want you to have good hair. I remember when I was younger, my mom went to this one hairdresser and he was like, "Never go to a woman. She'll never make you look as good as her. Women are jealous." And I was like,
he said that?
He said that.
What?
I know. So I've always had that in the back of my mind. And in my experience in 14 years in the industry, I've never experienced that.
Never.
Women are so supportive.
So supportive. I know. I love it.
So great.
I love it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So funny.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening to this episode. We still don't have a name. What should we name it? I know.
I don't know.
One day we'll come up with something. But thanks.